Okay. Right, well, I'm pleased to, okay, if you'll settle down, you know. I'm very pleased to welcome John tonight. It's going to, I'm sure quite a lot of you know, but as we were just sort of saying, it was 2001 that John wrote this rather excellent book called Nightingale's Code. And I'm sure a lot of us here already bought it. Although I'm a bit of a Bob Dylan fan, so it's a great privilege to have someone like John, who is very, very knowledgeable and has written this very erudite book. And he's going to come and talk about a bit of Bob's later work and stuff that's not covered in this, in a general overview. So, over to you, John, and thanks very much for putting your life at risk by coming to the talk.
Thank you, Malcolm, and thanks for coming. Project. Yeah, can you hear me if I speak about like that? Can you hear me in the back of the shop? Thank you. So that you don't face a trackless wilderness of talking, I'm going to give you an idea of roughly the shape of what I want to do tonight, which is two halves. The first half, sort of looking at what's in that book, what's in this book, so it's kind of really a sales talk. And then I'm going to do a song, and then I'll do the second half, which is more strictly about the title that I gave to the evening, which is Bob Dylan and Babylon, which is about some stuff on the latest record, not the very latest record, not the Christmas record, but the one before that. So this book, how it came to be, is that I met a man at a party called Keith Baugh, who took the photo on the cover, and the photos that are scattered throughout the book. And he said, oh, we got talking, we discovered that we were both Bob Dylan fans, and he said, oh, I've got hundreds of unpublished in-concert photos, all taken, good photos taken up front through various devious methods, forging security passes and things like that. And I'd like to, I'd really like to publish them. And then we got to the idea of maybe me writing a text to go with the photos. And I thought I could probably do that. I've been listening to Bob Dylan since I was a child, and I think I know something about him. I could probably churn out something like that. So when I started, of course, part of the attraction of writing it for me was also because although I'd been writing poetry for quite a long time, I hadn't had any practice in writing prose, hadn't done a degree, so I hadn't really done essay writing at that level or anything like that. So it was also an exercise in taking up a subject that I thought I'd be able to keep my concentration on and learn how to write connected, argumentative prose. So I started into this task, and I soon realised that I didn't know nearly enough, in a sense, and I gradually sank under the waters of my own speculations and investigations, and sort of abandoned the project. And about 20 years later, picked it up again. Well, it was 20 years from the beginning to the actual final completion of the book. I picked up what I had and thought, well, there is stuff in here. There is some sort of material that is original, isn't in other books, and I should have another go. And so I retrieved what I could out of the earlier draft and went through it again. And the material that I thought that I had that was not, that I didn't feel that anybody had quite done before, was a sort of architectural view, if you like, a landscape view of Dylan's work up to that point, trying to sort of say, a lot of the commentary is, it's such a big, various work, that a lot of the commentary is just sort of wandering about among all the various riches of it. And it seemed to me, you wanted to say, well, it does have some sort of coherence. What are the cohering elements? What are the constant elements, if there are any constant elements? What makes Dylan this artist and not another? And so the first part of the book looks at a few constants both methodological constants, Dylan's, some of his characteristic methods, and also certain imagery which seem to recur throughout his work. So, for example, the image of the road, the symbol of the road, and the symbol of the sea, which seem to keep occurring at various key points in sort of key songs. It appears, for example, at the end of Mr. Tambourine Man, and again at the end of Desolation Row. The image of the flood, which is, the waters and the flood and the sea. What does that mean? Why does it keep coming back? And that one keeps coming back, high water in 2001. If it keeps on raining, the levee's going to break. These things have stuck with him for more than 40 years. He keeps returning to certain symbols. So that's part of that first part of the book. Looking at a way that I noticed that he put records together very early on in a structural way. It's said sometimes that the Beatles with Revolver or Sgt. Pepper's were the first people to make LPs as works of art in their own right, a sort of self-consistent work of art. But it seemed to me that Dylan was doing that with his second record even, with Freewheeling. There's a very distinct structure to the order of the songs, and the songs respond to each other. They have a kind of dialectic structure. In fact, the image that I came up with is it's like a pair of hands. If you think of the two sides of the record, they're like a pair of hands, and this is the beginning of side one, and you go through like that. And then you begin side two, and you go through like that. But the two thumbs sort of answer each other, and the two forefingers answer each other, and so on. That the song at the end of side one, the song at the beginning of side two, will be in a kind of dialectical relationship with each other. For example, Times Are Changing, where I think that's the tightest of all the structures, which is interesting because it's the most dialectical record, it's the most political record, and he was influenced by Brecht at that time. You've got, I think it's Only a Pawn in Their Game at the end of side one, and North Country Blues at the beginning of side two. So you've got a song about a southern man and a song about a northern woman, and this one doesn't identify the man, but identifies him by the social forces that are forming him. And this one pictures the society from within one individual. It's a historical song, a song about the destruction of the mining communities in the north, the northern United States.